Yeah, coach, you have felt, or you have said that you felt like you're kind of creating a run identity defense. Just what have you liked about the run defense through the first two games? And then also, the fact that you faced 2 weeks of opponents that could run the ball, how much does that help you prepare for this one?
Yeah, it matters. It's a new challenge every week. There are some similar plays. A couple of plays, we didn't stop outside zone very well last year. We're playing it a lot better this year, and the last two teams were really, really good outside zone running teams. I think we just have a better understanding of how to play blocks, and how everybody fits together in the scheme. This is a different challenge this week because, of the explosiveness of the back Walker, and then they have a bunch of backs that they can run in there. So it's really, really hard to play great defense without being good versus the run, and these guys will challenge you throughout the day with some really good schemes.
Hey, Manny, I just wanted to ask you about their quarterback, Thorne. I know doesn't have a ton of experience, but what have you seen early on from him that impresses you? And especially on the back end, I know you guys have had some communication errors. Can you just talk about maybe what it is that they do in the pass game that you're going to have to be ready for?
He was actually impressive last year at the end of the year. He was impressive against Ohio State, and then threw for 350 or whatever at Penn State. So it felt like they probably went into the offseason and he had a little bit of confidence from those two performances, and then came out. They do a nice job of moving him around, giving him different throws, different launch points, so you don't always know where he is. A lot of play action passes out of condensed formations to try to hit routes behind coverage. He's very accurate, and you can tell he's smart. He's got a football background, knows where to go with the football. And then on top of that, he's got legs. He can run and extend plays, and he's a threat to pull the ball on zone read. So I think he's given. It just looks like from the outside, he's given their team confidence in a similar way that Derek gave our team confidence a year ago.
As far as I've heard you talk about this before, but blocking out the outside noise from social media and during games when things go wrong and fans start booing. Do you discuss that with your players? What's your advice to them on that subject? And also, Manny, how do coaches block that out? But I know you're adults and it comes with the territory, but you're human.
Well, they're exposed to it probably more than we are because, their world is so much more centered on social media than ours is. And then they're also out in the outside world a lot more than we are. We're in our building most of the hours of the day. So our battle cry here is play the next play. That's what we have a chance to do, play the next play. Because whatever the last result is, it's over. We can't do anything else about that. We got to move on. We got to be able to play the next play. And that is the thing in sports, is that we do have a chance to control our performance. But if our minds start to attach with past results, whether they're positive or negative, then you're not present, and you're gonna be bad in either way. So we preach that all the time here. Like you say, we all preach what we need to hear ourselves. That's us as coaches, everybody, and that's some pretty mature concepts. But it is our pathway to victory, and something I thought we did a really good job of a year ago.
Cody Brown is backing up Cam Harris. What gives him the edge over Thaddeus?
Cody just got more reps early on over Thad due to health reasons during training camp. So he just had a few more at bats before we got Thad operational. But both those guys are talented. Obviously you've got to be able to play with the ball and got to play without the ball in your hands and pass protect against a team that does bring pressure. So that's, we're happy that both those guys are at Miami, and it shows you that you think your role is what it is. It can change in the blink of an eye.
Hey, Manny, going back to talking about the run defense earlier, I think we're going to hear from Jared a little later after speak with you. What have you seen from him the first couple of games, and I guess how's he impressed you in helping out in the run defense?
Yeah, with Jared, it's he's just unique for a defensive tackle because of his athleticism. He's got great feet, great balance, but he's also strong enough and tough enough to hold point and play the run well. But he's also quick enough that he can transition and be a threat in pass rush like he was on the first third down of the game last week. and he can finish a play, in the backfield, which I think he did a couple times in the Bama game. So, athletic defensive tackles has kind of been Miami's calling card. And when you put, him and Silvera in there and combine them with Ford and Miller, it gives, all four bring up something a little bit different. And they're all doing a really nice job of getting the defense started inside the trenches.
Thank you. Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask about Mel Tucker, another defensive-minded head coach, had some really successful years with Georgia this decade. I wanted to ask what you're looking for out of Michigan State's defense this Saturday.
What we're looking for from Michigan State's defense? That we said? It's hard to hear. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, obviously they've had two outstanding performances to start the year. A lot of new faces from what they were a year ago, but I think the first thing you see is toughness, physical, really well coached, which means that they do a great job of setting edges, leveraging the football, and tackling it. So, schematically, they mix coverage as well. They mix pressures well, and then they've got some things on third down that are going to ask questions of your protection. So, you would expect any football team coached by Mel to excel at defense, and you can see what a full off season, which they didn't have a year ago, what a full off season in a proper spring ball has done to their success defensively.
Coach, we get to talk to Elijah Arroyo today, so wanted to just ask, what did he flash in the little bit that he did play this past week that impressed you?
Elijah, even in practice, Elijah has he does things that just freshmen don't normally do. You saw it in training camp. You have to keep in mind, he missed spring, and that's normally tough on first year guys. It's the way he'd run routes, the way he creates space for himself, the way he'd kind of, hip check a linebacker out of the way, and then be able to tight turn after a catch. It's things that are usually a little bit more nuanced. He made a play in the game this past week. We threw it to him in the flat. The guy was coming inside out the tackle, and normally you see kind of, they kind of butt into each other, and the guy pushes him out of bounds. And Elijah actually dipped his shoulder and he ripped under the tackle and actually stayed in bounds. I think took 5 or 6 more yards after that contact. That's a very mature play. Like the understanding, it might have been his first catch. The understanding of what to do when I have the ball, other than just go find the first person that's out there and run into him. And he just has a tendency to make plays like that. That are just a little bit, beyond what you would see for a guy, playing in his second ever college game.
His ability he lined up at a lot of different spots too. Is that another indication of how advanced he is for a freshman? He's in the backfield, slot, in line.
Yeah, I would say so. With him and Will both, we've got very versatile tight ends that can line up in a multitude of places and kind of keep the defense off balance on where those guys are.